Live, we have lots to get to on a busy Monday. Josh Allen got a ring over the weekend. We'll explain what that means to those of you who are not active on Instagram. Drake May enters year 2 with a new offensive coordinator, plus an update on his new top wideout. And Michael Penix Jr. also enters year 2 as the starting quarterback this time in Atlanta. We will hear from some of his teammates on what is next for Penix. But we start with some breaking news out of Detroit, where All-Pro center Frank Ragnow announced his retirement today. 29-year-old Ragnow released a statement saying, in part, "I've tried to convince myself that I'm feeling good, but I'm not, and it's time to prioritize my health and my family's future. I have given this team everything I have, and I thought I had more to give, but the reality is I simply don't." The latest headline out of Detroit this offseason has started out the Lions losing offensive and defensive coordinators Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn to the Bears and Jets head coaching jobs, respectively. Last month, the team fully cleared edge rusher Aiden Hutchinson to resume football activities after he missed 12 games last year due to a leg injury, so that's some good news. And then today, Ragnow announcing his retirement after 7 seasons in Detroit. Word out of Detroit that the team may turn to second-round rookie Tate Ratledge to fill the void at center. We have Jeremy Fowler, Mina Kimes, Mike Tannenbaum here to break it all down for us. Mina, let's start with you. What does this mean? How big a loss is this for the Lions?
It's massive. The Lions' success over the last couple of years has really been inside out. It started with the offensive line, and losing Ragnow is one of the best centers of football, but you're replacing 2 out of 3 of the interior offensive linemen. Christian Mahogany, who's playing guard, did play some, but he'll be a full-time starter for the first time. And that creates a lot of questions and a lot of problems for a number of reasons. This run game, which has been so dominant, is incredibly complex. The Lions run a ton of different concepts, so you're asking for a new combination to execute that. And then pressure. Jared Goff has been absolutely fantastic in Detroit, but he remains an incredibly pressure-sensitive quarterback. Over the last 2 years, when he is kept clean, he is first league-wide in QBR. When he's under pressure, that drops to 27th. So there's going to be a lot of pressure in a different way on this new offensive line, and their new offensive coordinator has to figure all of this out. And, it's going to be quite a transition in Detroit, but this is a big, big loss.
Yeah, I mean, from the Lions side, I was told that the team knew that Ragnow was considering this for a while now this offseason. They were kept abreast of the situation. They very much hoped that he was going to come back. So there was probably some nudging, but they still respected his process. They knew what he meant and that he sort of had ran out of gas here, but they are under no illusions that this is not a huge loss. Ragnow, league-wide, is known as one of the best communicators at the center position, so you can't replace that. They have Graham Glasgow, who can step in, a veteran, to play guard or center, but they're just not going to be the same.
Yeah, Jeremy, to that point, it certainly looks when they took Tate Ratledge in the second round that they had a pretty good idea this was coming. And I'm sure there's a lot of communication and respect between Frank Ragnow and the front office of the Lions. And look, I think Ratledge is going to be a really good player over time. He's more of a center only. But you make a really important point. When you combine John Morton, the new offensive coordinator, and presumably if it's Tate Ratledge, who does play center, maybe Glasgow slides in, but if it is Ratledge, now you have a new offensive coordinator and a rookie single caller at the center position. That's a really important job. So not saying they can't overcome it, and Mina makes a great point about the pressure sensitivity of Jared Goff. It's going to be a work in progress. You don't replace someone like Frank Ragnow overnight. It's going to take some time, regardless of how good Tate Ratledge may ultimately become.
Lions coming off a franchise record 15-win season, trying to win the NFC North for the 3rd year in a row. To New England now, where quarterback Drake May is at OTAs as he starts year 2 with the Patriots. His new offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels, spoke to the media today. Here's a little bit of what he said.
He's doing really well. He's very smart, works really hard. I think the quarterback room in general is really, really good in terms of putting the time and effort in at this point in time in the year. And like I said, we either make a good play or we learn from the result. The biggest key for us as we go forward is when we learn from a mistake is can we go out there the next day and not repeat the same error. And so I think he's doing a really good job of digesting the information, processing the corrections when there is a correction to be made, and then go out there with a great attitude and mindset the next day.
Patriots made some moves this offseason to improve the offensive line for May. He was pressured on 37% of his dropbacks during his rookie campaign, which was the highest for any quarterback in the NFL last year. He did show some ability to get away from him, though. After assuming the starting job in Week 6, no quarterback gained more yards on scrambles than May did. You see him here ahead of his draft classmates, Jayden Daniels and Caleb Williams. So, Mina, what do you think about the fit, Drake May entering his second year, and then with Josh McDaniels' offense coming in?
Yeah, there's a lot of facets to this pairing that I think will work, but one thing I'm particularly optimistic about is I think the run game as a whole is going to be a lot better. Some of that has to do with the reworking of the offensive line. The addition of TreVeyon Henderson was a draft pick I absolutely loved out of Ohio State. Gives them a bell cow back who's also, they can use in the passing game, pass protection, things like that. But also what you alluded to there, which is Drake May last year proved to be absolutely dynamite as a runner. Top 3 in just about every advanced metric. Success rate, missed tackles forced, rushing yards over expected. And Josh McDaniel, people may have forgotten, worked with Cam Newton, so he can call a design quarterback run game. I think you're going to see some option football in New England, and I wouldn't be surprised if it all comes together, maybe more than people expect.
Mina, there is some low-key optimism right now league-wide about the New England Patriots at least making some noise in the AFC East. Like, talking to some of their teams, they're like, they could at least push the Bills a little bit. Miami's in transition. New York Jets are in transition. You know the Patriots defense is typically going to be pretty good. 3 new starters on the offensive line. It just all depends on how you feel about that passing game. They haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver since Julian Edelman, so it has been a while. There are enough believers in Drake May league-wide that they feel like they can make that work. Kyle Williams, 3rd-round pick, they're really high on him too. He's been impressive so far.
Glad you brought up wide receiver, Jeremy, because the other big story of Patriots OTAs is Stephon Diggs, who, Mike Reese was reporting that he was at practice today after video emerged of the newly signed Patriots wideout partying on a boat with women and an unidentified pink substance in a baggie. So, Jeremy, what do we need to know about this situation?
So, Dan, I checked with the NFL. They are declining comment on this matter. And I checked with somebody with the Patriots. They said that this is sort of an elephant in the room. Everybody knows about it, but it's not like they're breaking down the tape in the front office going play-by-play with this thing. They just sort of know it is what it is and that Mike Vrabel is going to handle it. He's expressed some disappointment publicly, so we'll see if it results in any sort of discipline. It's funny, I checked with a few teams and they mentioned, like, how do you police this, whether it's the NFL or the Patriots, because how do you really know what that substance was? I mean, it could be funded for all we know, but it's a hard thing to decipher.
It certainly could be, Jeremy, but it may not be either. But I would just tell you from a front office perspective, look, you have to have a presumption of innocence. You don't know if the league's going to take the league on an investigation. And look, you could talk to Stephon Diggs and get, his version of, what happened. He's critically important. I mean, I like Kyle Williams. I think he's a really interesting receiver. Jalen Polk was certainly a disappointment last year. So was Javon Baker. So it's Stephon Diggs and a whole bunch of question marks. Look, they have Hunter Henry. Earlier, Mina Kimes, she mentioned TreVeyon Henderson. I love the fact that he can catch the ball out of the backfield, but as a frontline difference-making receiver, it's Stephon Diggs and draw a line. So they have to get to the bottom of this. I would be surprised if he was cut on account of it. But again, maybe there'll be more facts later on.
Certainly, they need him. The Patriots went offense on each of their first 4 picks in the draft, so you can tell where their focus was this offseason. Will Campbell, their first pick, should be a nice addition for that Patriots offensive line that struggled so badly last year. Shedeur Sanders' 3-day wait to hear his name called was one of the biggest stories of this year's NFL draft. Shedeur's father and former coach Deion Sanders was asked about some reporting that the quarterback fell in the draft because he showed up to meetings unprepared. Here's Deion.
When you sit up there and say something like he went in a meeting unprepared, like, dude, Shedeur Sanders, who's had 6 different coordinators, who has still functioned and went up, leveled up every time we brought somebody new in, and you're gonna tell me you're gonna tell me he had on headphones, Shedeur. Anybody that know my son understand he's a professional. Like, he's gonna go into a meeting with headphones on. Like, y'all come on, man.
All right, Jeremy, Shedeur Sanders, 5th-round pick for the Browns, second quarterback they took in the draft. So let's start there. I want you to go through some of these rookie quarterback situations, starting with the Cleveland one.
Well, so far the Browns have liked Shedeur Sanders' accuracy. You know, they liked in the draft process his sort of computer mind ability to process at the line of scrimmage. All that's great, but this is just a difficult decision or dynamic because they have 4 quarterbacks in the room, only so many reps to go around. So both him and Dillon Gabriel are sort of scrapping for reps because Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco took a lot of the first-team reps to start OTAs. They'll be heavily in the mix, and so they're going to try to mix it up and get him more. But right now, small sample size for Shedeur. And you got Cam Ward, a little bit different situation because they're going to gradually give him more and more first-team reps until he's the eventual starter. That's the loose plan. They're not worried about first-team, second-team right now. They just want Ward to concentrate on the offense getting better. But from a leadership, work ethic standpoint, he's been great. I'm told he's been in the coaches' meetings and rooms where they almost have to kick him out at times because he's really invested that way. So right now it's Levis in the mix too. They're going to just sort of keep him on the roster. I don't sense a lot of trade action there. Jackson Dart. So when I check with Giants people, you hear 2 things. Highly motivated, quick learner. And that's really all they want right now. So they're taking it slowly with him. They've seen some glimpses of the athletic playmaking and OTAs early on. Certainly it's Russell Wilson's show, so a lot will depend on how long he can win games and stave off the rookie. But they're going to take it slowly with him and not rush him into things. That's at least